Welcome back, everybody. Hot mic off and rolling here on a busy Wednesday. Guardsy, Justin Guard, JG will join us in about a half hour. Give us the lowdown on the Gophers and a couple of North Dakota guys that could be seeing their way into the football rotation when the Gophers open up a week from Thursday against Buffalo. Even before that, we've got high school football in this state on Friday. 2 days from now, it all begins. You can call it week 0 in our state with a bunch of games, whether it's Class A or 9-man. There's no doubt who the team to beat in 9-man is in North Dakota football. At least that's what everybody thinks this upcoming year after a dynamite season last year that ended with a loss in the Dakota Bowl. I don't know if it's the revenge tour for LaMoure, Litchfield, Marion. We can ask head coach Andy DeLaBarre, who joins us, one of our favorites on this Wednesday. I know you put the season to bed. You were here in April, I believe, when we were talking about it. But how prevalent is that when you start camp about how last season ended?
Well, we've been waiting for this day since November 15th. You know, that's a bad taste in your mouth for a long time. And you know, you go back to Credit and Rockford and the team they had. So they were tough, they were good, and they were definitely deserved the title that year. And you know, now it's a new year, and hopefully, you know, we're a new team that we can kind of continue to build and progress and get ourselves back in that position, because it's not easy. It takes a lot to get back there.
So that's something you address with the guys right away about, and they don't need any reminders, I imagine, right?
No, they were all there. I mean, even the freshmen that were eighth graders got to be on the sideline and just, you know, to see the disappointment, see the, you know, the work and the grit that kind of went into getting this far. And you know, you get so close that that's a tough loss to take. So we'll, you know, football season's long. It's going to be a long, drawn out growth type of a progress. So we'll continue to improve our game plan every week and kind of sharpen our tools and hopefully get ourselves back into that position.
We had our buddy Mike Zier on the show a few weeks ago to talk about how 9-man is restructured. It's different. The regions are a little bit different. Describe that about you. You have familiar teams, but it's going to look a little different in 2025.
Yeah, a lot more, I think, simplified. You've got 4 regions now. You have 10 teams in each region. You play 9 games and then you get the playoffs. And so it's kind of nice to just know that's what it's going to be. You can always look at the 40 teams that will be in 9-man for the next year, and unless a team drops out, that, you know, now you're kind of set for what you're going to know you're going to see. And the non-region games aren't a factor anymore because every game's a region game, so they're all going to matter.
Hey, I was going to say, how's that change? Not necessarily mentality wise for you, but that's different. Like, okay, there's no preseason, so to speak. It's like Friday night. This one matters. It counts.
Yeah, no, and especially your first game, you know, that's a region game. You don't know. I mean, that's the other thing about high school football. You know, you kind of feel like, gosh, it's a quick turnaround from when you start to that first game. But for high school kids, you know, you don't really know how good you're going to be until you start playing games. And for most part, you know, your scout team is usually not as good as the team you're going to see on Friday night. But you know, a lot will be told after, you know, this Friday at about 10 o'clock as to, you know, what type of team we're going to be, what type of team everyone's going to be at that point. So we're excited to just play a game, kind of reevaluate what we're going to be. What do we need to change? How do we need to get better? And let's just keep moving forward.
We were just visiting off air. You got 25 guys out. Is that a really good number for you for what you were hoping for?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's been pretty consistent. It's been steady for us. You know, we've had seasons where we have had 13 boys out, and we're setting up garbage cans, and coaches are on scout teams. So, you know, we're very excited for the numbers we have. We got a good freshman class coming in that's going to bring some size. So, you know, we're just going to keep building this program every year, and just keep the same standard we've always held, and you know, keep highlighting our athletes, and just, you know, go out there and play some hard-nosed football.
When's the last time you were out there during practice during a drill?
I don't know if my hamstrings can take it anymore. I step back now. We got enough assistant coaches. We got a new. I actually get to coach. I coached one of our assistant coaches now. He's a young guy.
Wow, there you go.
So we'll get him. We'll get him on scout team if we need to.
We're watching some highlights, Andy, from last year, and obviously number 4 comes right to everybody's attention, and even more so maybe now after his announcement in the spring that he's going to go play at North Dakota State. We're talking about Gunnar Thiel. Just how different is this year? I don't know if he snuck up on anybody last year, but it ain't going to happen in 2025. How will you address that, knowing he has to have the football, but everybody's going to be looking for him?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to know he's got that weight off his shoulders going into the season now. He can just be a kid and play football, and Gunner's just Gunner. He doesn't think too much. He just plays football, and teams are going to look at him. I know first and foremost, but the other nice thing is we have his brother who's a junior, Colby. We have another senior, Avery Kramer, who's a very good athlete, and so when you can throw three good athletes on the field and nine man, that's a pretty good formula for success. So yeah, we're excited for Gunner and his season, being a senior, and then what's to come after the season's over.
I know he's pretty mild mannered kid. How has he handled the added attention over the last few months?
Pretty calm. He's pretty relaxed. Our tradition is I take the seniors out for breakfast after our last morning practice, and I asked the seniors, what's your plan next year, and I kind of joked. I went to Gunner. So Gunner, what are you going to do next year? He goes, well, I guess I'll play football at NDSU. He said. So he's pretty cool and calm. You don't get him too riled up.
When you see, Nate Tosted is the next North Dakota 9-man guy that could be playing early for the Bison. You got a guy, Walker Broughton, you saw up close and know exactly what he can do. Just this level, Andy, I don't know. We thought maybe linemen. I don't know about skill guys in North Dakota 9-man making the jump and having the kind of success they've had.
Yeah, I think there's a level of toughness in North Dakota, that no matter what level you are, and if you want to talk about, 9-man in this small school, and just the adversity you got to handle and go through. When you get to college, there's a lot of that, right? Because you're no longer the top dog, and you got to be able to handle being a little tough mentally, not just the physical side. And so there's a lot of kids that do fall through the cracks, but there's a lot of those homegrown kids that just know what work they have to put in to be successful and find a way.
All right, so one of my other favorite storylines in 9-man is sometimes the travel. You've got it right off the hop. You're playing at Hatton Northwood. That is not a little jaunt for you guys to open up on Friday.
Yeah, well, we've travel. I've always said this. Travel's not as big of a deal as it used to be. Most teams have a pretty decent bus as long as the air conditioner works this time of year. You're gonna be okay. And you get off a bus, you move around. It's not like you got these 40-year-old coaches going out and playing football that are all stiff. You got a bunch of young guys that, they're going to be drinking Gatorade and ready to go when they hop off that bus.
When do you get an assessment like, okay, like in game one, how good you guys might be? Is it after the game? Is it during? Like, okay, we might be what I thought. We might be better than I thought. When does that happen, that evaluation during the first game?
Man, that's a great question, Dom, because we just get into that game, and it might be the opening kickoff, it might be halftime, it might be who knows. It just for sure after the game, you're going to evaluate and say, okay, this is what we thought we were going to be. This is what we're going to have to become. And I think that process is ongoing, and you handle adversity with kids cramping up, and you got to throw someone in there new. And that's why I tell our kids, never not be ready, because you're going to have some point where you're going to have to be thrown into the game and you're going to have to be ready to play. So, yeah, we'll evaluate instantly, as the game goes.
Would you like another week? I'm sure you would, but is this too quick a turnaround? You started practice 2 weeks ago. Now you're going to play in a game.
Yeah, I'd say this in two ways. I'd love another week if it were, two starting groups that could practice against each other and prepare for a Friday night.
Yeah.
But for us, it's kind of, you got to get into it, and I'm not saying it's a practice for us. It's a way for us to evaluate and say, okay, like you mentioned, this is the team we're going to have to be, and then you don't really again know that until you play that game. So of course, I think every coach would love more practice time, but for us to really evaluate who we're going to be, I think we got to play a game.
Before I let you go and put you on the spot here, don't hate me on this. It's been 20 years since you played your last game for North Dakota State, which is crazy to say that out loud. Who is the most talented player you played with in your time at NDSU?
Man, one guy who was just a freak that I hated blocking was Joe Mays. We'd go to fall camp and it was always good on good. And
Yeah.
whenever it was like 42 lead and I'm playing fullback, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is gonna be fun. And he was the head buster for a reason because
Yeah.
he was just tough. But I mean, we had so much talent that we played with, and when you look at the talent pool NDSU polls now, I mean, they would kick our butts. That's how good I think this program's gotten. So, we're very fortunate to play some very talented players. Jared Essler was a guy I got to play with in high
Yep.
school and then on into college. And, he's just a fun guy to know he's on your team and not playing against too. So, I mean, I could go on and on about all the talent we've played with.
How about the against? Was there a guy like, holy cow, this guy is better than I've ever seen?
Yeah, for me, the toughest guy I ever had to block was Chris Gokong from Cal Poly.
Oh,
And he went on to the NFL.
yeah.
He was a good player, and you know, a, another guy that played here when I was a freshman. He was a senior. Was Leif Murphy. And Leif went on to play in the CFL, and I mean that guy is like as blue collar as they come. But he was just tough guy to go against. So no, there was a lot of fun. I mean, we made that transition to Division 1, and we got to see some pretty good talent over the years. And even going down and playing some of those teams in Louisiana, there's some pretty good teams in the SoCon back then.
And it was unbearably hot, I have to imagine, right?
Oh yeah, it was. It was. You think it's hot here, and you get down there, and it's like there's no way to compare how hot and humid that
Well,
is.
that's we're getting ready. The Bison are going to play in Charleston, South Carolina, which is different. You were played in Louisiana and Texas in those days. What do you tell for the guys to? How do you prepare for something like that?
I just, I know Jim Kramer is going to get those guys prepared. I remember we used to walk into our weight room, and I think he turned the heat on over the summer for us to get in, and
Oh,
you just get in there and just instant sweat. So I've got no doubt they're going to be prepared for whatever conditions that's going to come. But you just go play, you hydrate, you just do the normal things, and somebody's going to cramp up. It's going to happen.
it's great to see you, bud. Thanks so much for doing this. Good luck on Friday. We'll catch you down the road, okay?
Awesome. Thanks, Dom.
There he goes, Andy DeLaBarre, head coach, LaMoure, Litchfield, Marion. Loboes open up on Friday night against Hatton Northwood. Coverage of that coming up as we start our high school football winding road on Friday to start the 2025 season. We'll break. We come back. We'll wrap up our first hour. Big second hour plan for you college football rubes. We'll roll on a busy Wednesday of Hot Mic after this.